Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving, purpose-minded women who've written nonfiction books and want to amplify their message beyond the book. I'm a college professor, and when I'm not doing that, I am speaking, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women who have written books how to use their books to make a bigger difference, have more impact, and purpose. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and you take time to listen into the podcast each week. We wouldn't be in the top 10 of all podcasts ever if it weren't for you listening in. So thank you. Really appreciate you.
Wow. Congratulations. That is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Oh my Lord.
I love that. And I'm just so grateful that people listen in. All right, everyone. So that voice that you just heard is Sharon Seivert. Now, let me tell you a little about Sharon. She's a business founder and leader and author of the book, The Superpower of Balanced Leadership in Unbalanced Times. And for the past decade, Sharon and her international colleagues at Core Coaching and Consulting have guided senior leaders and business owners to grow their companies without burning themselves out or the people who work for them, which is just as important. And she and her colleagues show leaders how to increase their confidence, gain new clarity, master their thoughts and emotions, and develop business strategies that are effective for all levels of the organization. Sharon is the author of several other books in the Superpower of Balance series, and I can't wait to hear more about it. So let us welcome Sharon Seivert.
Thank you so much on this top podcast. Whoa. I've listened to a number of your podcasts. They really are terrific. I'm not surprised that you're ranking high. This is great. And thank you for letting me be on. Yay.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. All right, so let's just jump right in. You heard, I just read a little bit, but just, tell us in your own words about who you are and the work that you do.
All righty. Okay. I live on the North Shore of Boston, where it is a beautiful blue day, a windy, but spring is on its way. And I was born in the Boston area, but I've lived throughout the U.S., which is why I don't sound like I'm from Revere, which is where I live right now. I don't sound like that. I have that Midwestern voice. Just from the heartlands. And before I came into the business world that I have lived in for the past few decades, I really was born a musician. I was born a singer and writer. I would say that music and words are the essence of who I am. And I try to make my writing musical, theme and variations so that it sings to people. And I think the part of your podcast is about how people take that music that's inside them and bring it out into the world, that song that they were born to sing. So that's why it's so much fun to talk about this with you.
So even hearing your voice and the way you're presenting that, it's like music.
Oh, that is so sweet. Yeah. So I started I was really, as I said, born into music, and from the age of 2 on was singing and that sort of thing in life. But I came into politics very early, and that has very much shaped my writing. So I would say that the politics part of it is my passion, my sense of duty for service. And I came into that very, very early. Just after college, I went into an extremely political job in the Midwest, and we're sort of in the place like we would see echoes of the kind of politics we're seeing these days. So I ran a family planning center, which was a poverty family planning center for women in the Midwest, and I received death threats. On a regular basis.
Oh, no.
It was really intense. Yeah. So this is kind of that, the lack of compassion, inclusivity, progress that we see the wars going on right now all around us, the unbalanced world. I had a big taste of my first job out of school. And I survived, yay.
Yeah.
But that did, you can see how then the politics and the music come into where I am right now. And I went into the healthcare. We needed healthcare for the people in the area. So I became the CEO of a group health plan that set the industry record for break even that
Wow.
has not yet been broken.
Wow.
I know. So I got my taste of business and how to run organizations in that way. Again, a passion project, a sense of this needs to be done. So what are we doing sitting around? We've all got to go out and do this. And I guess the only other thing that's really important about my progress is that at the time after I got this stuff off the ground, my brother John died in a very sudden accident.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was that bolt out of the blue that made me go on a journey, leave what I was doing and the way I was doing things, and go on a journey that completely changed my life. And I didn't realize at the time what had happened. I mean, that what had happened to me. I knew obviously my family had suffered, but everyone in my family changed their lives. And this is important because I think sometimes the universe opens up for us and moves us on whether or not we want to get moved on. And it was many years later that I was standing in front of a group of scientists in the NIH, the National Institute of Health. And they were, complaining about the bureaucracy and complaining about the problems they had. And I said, the reason I do this work is because people are dying in the workplace. And my brother's death was in the workplace. He had a workplace accident.
Oh.
It was at that moment that I realized everything I was doing, and when I was moved on, was to do this work. So you can see what it means to me. And I do believe that. I believe that people are dying, the death of 1,000 cuts in the workplace. There's all this unnecessary BS that they have to endure. We could do so much better if we didn't have to endure that. So my work has come from that. I work at giving people self-healing tools, really practical, pragmatic stuff they can use to change their lives. It's in their hands. They can go out and they can pass it on to other people. And that's my goal. And that's the gift of my brother John to me and to the world.
Oh, yeah. So sorry to hear about that loss, but also grateful at the same time for the gift that he gave to you and that you give to all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what I've created then as a result of this long journey is this whole process that we talk about in the Superpower of Balanced Leadership. I've created this methodology, and this methodology is based on a human instinct for balance and health. Mm-hmm. So everybody's got this. Every one of you who's out there listening now, you already know this, but we have to kind of reawaken it and have you practice it. And then it's yours. And then you get to give it to your children, please. And then you get to give it to the rest of the world. And so if you're happy, then the rest of the world goes out there and is happy. So I've developed this methodology, and we have all kinds of things, the assessments, the different kinds of tools. We have free stuff, community stuff that people can come and get from us. And we just really want people to grab onto it. We want a global reach. We want those kind of ripple effects because this is an unbalanced world that needs this superpower of balance. That's what we're looking for.
Yes, I love that. And I love you. It's clear that your heart, your commitment comes through when you're talking about doing this work.
I'm awful. It's sort of like, the person who makes what she thinks is the best lasagna. And she's always going, you have to taste my lasagna. It's the best lasagna you ever taste. Or the mother goes, look at my baby. I have the most beautiful baby in the neighborhood. Yeah, I'm over the top on it. I really believe in this stuff.
I love that. I love that passion and commitment. All right. So, I love the title too of your book, The Superpower of Balanced Leadership in Unbalanced Times. Now we could guess or we can make assumptions about what you mean by balance. But why don't you tell us in your own words what you mean by balance and then that looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did not pay you for that question. Thank you. So when we talk about the superpower balance, we're talking about the 6 different powers that you have available to you. And this is just one way to look at balance, but we're not looking at either or, teeter-totter. We're not looking at the back and forth, work, life, make your choice. We're not doing that. We're saying that wherever you stand is your hub of power. You are the magician. You are the healer. Wherever you stand, it doesn't matter what your title is. It doesn't matter what your role is. You have the power to affect everything that is around your circle. Okay, so that's one part of it. And then the 6 parts of the 6 different powers that are part of the superpower are imagine a compass, and you have the center and the 4 directions. That's what this archetypal model is about. And this model is found all over the world. I mean, all over the world. And every culture has some version of this. So the healing models of Native American medicine, the acupuncture, Ayurveda, the cosmology of the Congo, the alchemists from Europe, the Mayas, how they built their temple, all of them are built on this model. And we think it's so old that it's actually the human drawing of the center, the core of your body, and the 4 limbs. We think that's how old it is, and that's where it comes from. So our sense of balance and wholeness and happiness is based on that center and 4 directions. So the way it looks in leadership, which is what we've been talking about, is that the first power is that of your core, your purpose, what your whole podcast is about. Yes, yay! And this is your soul. In ancient times, I would say, this is your soul. This is your essence. This is from leadership. This is your being. Who you are cannot be faked. Who you are is evident to everyone. And that's the center of your compass. Okay. And from there, we go out to the element of air, your mind, learning, vision in an organization. You can, what you see for the future, what you see as possible, what you think about the world. The 3rd point is your will or fire element. And that's about mission, and that's about acting. You go out there and act. But your action in the superpower process is it comes out of your being and out of your learning. It's tied in, it's always aligned. So the power of this is that we're aligning everything together. That makes it so much more potent. The 4th element is the emotions, or the water element, and that is your interactions. And the 5th is your body, or the earth. So you have these parts of you that are also these superpowers. So the earth element is about structure and organizations, or implementing the work, forming the habits, that sort of thing. And then what's really magical is that all of these elements are held together by the whole, by the context, by synergy. When we integrate everything, when we align everything, and then it's woo, we take off. and things are not, and when I talk about reducing suffering, it's just that things could be so much easier if we just could do our work, and if we were just allowed to do our work, and if we just decided to do our work.
Yes.
These are your superpowers. If you put these things together, whoosh, everything is great.
Yes. Wow. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. The whole system. And I love the way you tied in the essence and the lessons and the wisdoms from the natural world. Yeah.
Yes, the natural world has a lot to say about how we can become balanced again, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. This is so important to me. And when you talk about purpose, the other thing I'll say about purpose, which again, get me talking about this stuff. You just wind me up. There she goes. Okay. Is that the Greeks believed our purpose was like a gold figurine that was deep inside each one of us that we had to dig for. And they called it the eudaemon, Eudaemon, indwelling spirit, the indwelling spirit inside each of us. And our whole lives could be spent digging for this golden figurine, this richness beyond measure. But when we had it, life was great. Okay, life could just be great. And research has shown that eudaimonic happiness, purpose-driven happiness, is in a different spot in our brain than hedonic happiness or pleasure-driven happiness. Now, I wish for all your listeners that they have lots of both. We want that good meal and we want to be really deeply happy, but they are in different parts of our brain.
That's
And
fascinating.
isn't that fascinating? And when the eudaimonic part of us is excited, it lasts longer. The brain lights up for longer. It's so interesting. But that's what we're talking about with purpose, is that this part of us lights up longer. Don't you love it?
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm so glad you took the time to put this in a series of books, but particularly the one that I mentioned before, The Superpower of Balanced Leadership in Unbalanced Times. Now, let's talk a little bit about this part of you, because you have you gave us some snapshot of your career journey to this point. So you have a whole array of wisdom and experience and insight and all these things that make you who you are. But let's focus in for a moment on the author part of you.
Oh, okay.
I know you have lots of hats at different times, but let's think about yourself as an author. Tell us, and I'm imagining people who are listening, there are women like you and like me who have many roles, but one of the roles is author. Mm-hmm. All right. So what would you say was or is one of your challenges in this author role?
Since I'm so busy with the business, it's really finding the time. And I'm sure a lot of the women on the call can relate to that. If it's not children, it's the business and everything. Finding the time dedicated. Because for me, when I go into writing, because I'm writing about these deep topics, I have to really sink in and not have distractions. So my mate, Mario, understands that when I say I'm in my cone of silence, this is my cone of silence. I am not to be disturbed in my cone of silence. Danger lies there. So I have to do that. I have to discipline myself to do that and the people around me to do that, to let me be quiet. And I literally sign off days. I'm not someone who a lot of people are really disciplined. They get up in the morning and they work from 6 to 8 and then they go on with their day. And me, I admire them. That's really beautiful. But I need these blocks of time. And I think it's partly because my mind is heavily intuitive. So I need to just shut the door on one thing and then go to the other. So that's my particular process. And God bless people who can do it other ways, but
yes, I get it. My process is similar to yours. It's very segmented. All right. So on the other side of that question, what would you say is your greatest joy as an author? Any part of being an author?
Yeah.
Promoting, being any part of it.
So I will quote Hemingway, who I'm sure you've heard say, the best part of writing is being done. So that is something that I can relate to. But the joy in me is taking these abstract concepts or these ancient concepts and putting them into an elegantly simple modern language. That's what I live for. And when people understand that, when I teach this to children and they understand that, I'm over the moon. Okay. That is, I know that I've done my job.
Yes. Yes. And imagine the gift that is for children to get those lessons early in life.
Oh, please, from your mouth to God's ears, as some of my friends say. Yes, this is something that we do. I do have a nonprofit organization, Core Learning Services, and that is its function, is to teach teachers and to teach children. So we have brought this work to Montessori schools.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm someone who teaches adults. The people who can teach children and redo these things for children, that's a whole other level of skill. And I've been really, really impressed in the beauty of teaching children. The beauty is we don't have to unteach them anything.
Right. They're already open to the idea.
Yeah. So one of my favorite stories from that period of teaching the children is a little boy in this Montessori school that we went into, and they all learned the elements, and they learned what the elements meant and how they were when they were in these elements. And this boy said, "I love fire." fire's the best. And I like to run and jump and, but sometimes I do too much fire and I make people unhappy. So I think I'm going to use a little more water and be nicer to people. And we thought, can I take him with me to the CEOs I'm going to go visit right now? Because this kid has nailed it.
He figured it out.
And how to balance himself, just like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
And such self-awareness too.
Yeah. Well, this is what we need. The other thing that I found that youth need is to understand their innate greatness. I need them to understand these whole creatures that they are, that they have a soul, a mind, a will, emotions and body, and this context that they're in, and they just need to claim it. Yes. I need them to claim it, and then for their own happiness, the happiness of the world. And once they realize that they're not these tiny little creatures, they're not these facets of what the society will let them be, they are so much more, then they can change the world. If they really understand that.
Yes, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Absolutely. All right. You shared with us the story of your brother and how it kind of set you on this path in this way. But now, thinking about your book, is there a part of the book that reflects who you are? And if so, in what way?
The book reflects my journey to becoming whole. And the part of me that wants everybody else into the pool. Again, I told you about the lasagna, right?
Yes.
So I want everybody to have this, because when they do have this, they will create these fabulous ripple effects. If you claim your wholeness, if you claim your greatness, and this is a very practical way to do it. It's easy to remember this. It's easy to think, how am I acting today? And do I need more of this or more or less of that? And then you can adjust yourself. You can balance yourself constantly. Mm-hmm. And that's very, very potent. And it's a gentle trip into awareness. And our ancestors have all paved the way here, from no matter what part of the world you're from. The ancients have told you about this. So this is who you are. When you think about it just a little bit, this is who you are and what you can do. So for the people who are writing, to really embrace this, to pace themselves, to allow their greatness to emerge, who they are and what their gifts are, to emerge, and when they write, that I think helps them articulate what their gifts are and what they're here to do. Mm-hmm. It's I believe that everyone has a piece of the puzzle, and we really need you to bring it to the rest of us. We really do, because when you succeed, that helps me succeed, and on and on. It's like your podcast, right? So if people are coming to your podcast and people are going, wow, I didn't even know about that functional medicine thing, or I didn't even know about this other thing. And what the lawyers are doing, it's all this great stuff. And so our eyes open, we look to the mountaintop. Yeah. And we know we're traveling with other people up this mountain. That's just like a really cool thing.
It is. It is. Now, is there something that you can share with us? And if not, it's okay. You can share with us sort of a before and after, because you said it reflects your journey to wholeness. Was there a snapshot of what the opposite of wholeness looked for you, and then when you achieved this wholeness?
I would say sort of that lightning bolt moment when my life split into these two parts, is that this being in grief, and then knowing that you had to leave. Like there's all these heroic stories that you can't stay in this kingdom anymore. You have to go. And that's what happened to me. I left where I was. I left the job. I left the relationship. I left everything in order to move into the unknown, and seriously into the unknown. So along the way, I guess I picked up little pieces of myself and put them all together. Yeah, with the help of 1,000 people and examples of 1,000 people and oodles of mistakes and things like that. So
Well, it's good to meet this new you with all the pieces put together.
Yeah, well, and getting there, doing my best to get there. Definitely more pieces together than there were, yes.
Yeah. Okay, as we talked about somewhat earlier, this podcast is for what I call purpose-minded, high-achieving women, women who are responsible in their personal life, professional life, ambitious, doing all the things. And they happen to have written nonfiction books and they want to make a difference. What's some word of advice, support, or encouragement you can give to the woman I just described, either from your personal experience or your professional experience?
Well, I would definitely urge them to understand that they are to think of themselves as the healer standing in the hub of their power. That's what I would encourage them to do. So if when they go into that quiet writing place, to imagine themselves fully embracing that part of them that is standing firmly and strongly in their power. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's so powerful, so powerful.
Do you know the quote by George Bernard Shaw about Splendid Torch? That's the other thing that occurs to me. Oh, they're going to love this. Let me read this to you. This is another one of my Irish countrymen here, but it talks to your purpose. You need this for this one. I'll send it to you. Okay. So this is the true joy in life. The being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live it, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it to future generations.
I love that.
I'll send that to you. It's a good one,
Yes.
isn't it? For your purpose, isn't it?
Yes, that's so beautiful. And
Yeah.
it ties together you and all your spirit, your energy, your poetic sense, your musical sense is all coming through in that, and your
And
commitment to
you're
purpose.
rubbing your heart. That's so sweet.
This is my heart feeling yours. Yes. All right. So now you've been so generous with your time. Is there anything that I haven't had a chance to ask you that you'd like to share before we tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Just keep on. Just put one foot in front of the other and know that you have sisters and brothers all around you who are moving beyond your sight, but into the future with you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I'm sure people are saying, where can I get those books? How can I hear more? Where can people connect with you?
So people can go to core-learning-services.org and come into register for our community events. They're free. Check out the Superpower of Balanced Leadership tab and get a free a PDF that describes this in more detail. Get on a clarity conversation with me if you really want to delve into this deeply. And we have the corecoachingconsulting.com website that has other free things, a YouTube channel. We really want to get our word out there and just available to anyone, no matter what their means are. So we work from everyone like the school kids or the people who don't have a lot of money to the people who, have plenty of change because they're leaders in organizations and they can work with us in our powerful leader groups or our one-on-one with me.
Well, thank you so much. You have so many, a wealth of resources for people. And so
Yes.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I want them to have that and give them to their children and their neighbors and their friends. Did I say lasagna?
And of course, I thought that when you said that.
I know. I could see your eyes. I could see your eyes going for that punchline.
I love it when someone has a message and they shout it from the mountaintop. I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And we are so beaten back so much of the time that we need to help each other voice, sing, and shout.
Yes, absolutely. Sharon Seivert, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and spending time with us today. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I hope our paths cross again.
I do too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. And if you want to know more about me, you can reach me on my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com, or shoot me a message over at LinkedIn at Robin L. Owens, PhD. And if you're an author and you've been thinking about how to expand your message beyond the book, I have the thing just for you. You've been thinking about creating a course from your book, go over to my website and get my free training on how to turn your book into a masterful course. And that website is createmasterfulcourses.com, createmasterfulcourses.com. And in the meantime, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Dr. Robin signing off. See you next time.